So, do you think this is going to have any long-term effects on the lending industry, both from a fintech perspective and a big bank perspective?
I mean, from a fintech perspective, it's going to be interesting. Obviously, with the bailout, they're being made whole, so it's not going to be the worry of their ability to make payroll based on this, right? But I do think overall the industry in itself is going to have some difficulty. I think there are a lot of big players in the fintech space that had zero bank redundancy. This was their bank, and it wasn't just for their bank account, but even to provide services to their customers. You know, you were hearing about Stripe and PayPal and Square and a lot of other huge players in the fintech space where their customers' funds were being held and they were being held hostage. They couldn't get them out of the bank. Um, I do feel like there's going to be people losing faith in some of these alternative banking products in industry for sure. But then again, they're probably going to be losing faith in the traditional banking as well. So yeah, that's a tough one. I'm not sure. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think with stuff like this that, from, I guess you wouldn't say rubble, right? But someone usually rises out and makes the most of it. I kind of think, at least from a startup perspective, I think the startup community certainly shook by it. I think it's an opportunity for some of these fintechs to maybe start lending and leveraging more of that space than they are now. Because clearly there was just a few big players that were doing most of that in the VC world.
Yeah, I mean, even for ourselves internally, for Valmer Merchant Services, we as soon as that happened, we had an influx of people going to our website, filling out forms to speak to people, just calling us, reaching out to speak about. One, they were definitely looking for redundancy and a secondary solution for the processing. But two, I mean, we had dozens of different companies reach out where their funds were actually being held by some of those large players. So yeah, I mean there's it definitely created opportunities for some of the smaller to mid-sized players within their respected industries for sure. And I think um, a lot of people, they did a nice job trying to get their money out early enough and making the pivots. But again, it's incredibly stressful as a business if you don't have that secondary bank account because the question is there's these companies were trying to pull the funds out. Well, where does it go? I was hearing people saying that people were getting massive cashier checks because they didn't have a secondary bank account just to perform a transfer to. Um, so I think that overall is going to be a massive, massive change. Everybody that we speak to and we know of, together, just with texting back and forth, they all have new bank accounts. They all have secondary bank accounts.